Hey, guys. My name is Paula Sun, but you can call me the Change Navigator. I mean, that's why you clicked on the podcast because of the name, right? All right, cool. I want to begin by saying welcome to my new listeners and welcome back to the Faithful Navigators. We are here in season 2. And like I tell you guys every week, we are doing something new every week in season 2. Season 2, I decided to dedicate it to ordinary individuals who are doing extraordinary things, who are navigating through so many things in their life. So, on today, I have a very special guest, and we go way back, like 25 years back, on the campus of the Grambling State University. So, come on, guys, let's give it up and welcome Angela Williams.
Yay! Thank you so much for having me. And yes, Grambling State University is where it all began.
Yes, indeed. So, Angela, we thank you for taking out time to be a part of this podcast. And, guys, I want to read to you a little bit of her bio and then I'll let her tell you about herself. Angela is a certified transformation coach with a certification in cognitive behavioral techniques, aka CBT therapy. She's also an Amazon best-selling author with her third book releasing this month entitled Hush: Silencing the Voices in Your Mind, a Spiritual Mental Health Journal. She has an MS degree in psychology, and she's the founder of the Faith Academy, which is an online platform for Christian women. She's the creator of the Master Your Mountains 6-week transformation course that will also be launching soon. So, Angela is a motivational powerhouse, a contributing writer for SAS Magazine, and the voice for the Boss Up movement, which stands for Break Out of Self Sabotage. And let me add this. This is wonderful, right? But I met Angela at Carver Hall in Grambling State University in the chemistry building, well, science and technology building. That's what it was. And we had this instructor. Her name was Dr. Connie Walton. And Dr. Walton always referred to somebody as, all right, Miss Lady. All right, Miss Lady. So that's just something Angela and I have continued to do that even when we comment on each other's posts. It usually ends with a something like with Miss Lady in it. So, guys, again, welcome Angela. And Angela, tell the navigators a little bit about yourself, something other than what I read on your bio.
Well, I would like for your navigators to know that I'm pretty much like a hope dealer, right? And hope, I always have like these acronyms that the Lord gives me, but hope is helping other people evolve
Mm,
because my journey has been just that. I mean, we're always evolving, correct?
mhm.
So I'm on a mission to help other people tap into their unique talents and gifts so that they can stop being hidden, being America's best kept secret, as my coach likes to call it.
Mhm.
And so I'm just out here living life, doing it in a way that is allowing me to have my mental peace and to navigate, the way that I need to in order to be what I need to be for others. So, I mean, that's pretty much what I would like to add for your
All
navigation.
right, Miss Hope Dealer, helping other
Yes.
people evolve. I love it. It sounds like some navigating through changes, even in that title. So,
Mhm.
like I said, I met you in the science and technology building, and if I'm not mistaken, your career was in some sort of science or something.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
I was actually a sterility lab technician. And a lot of people are like, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, everything that deals with the medical industry, I would test it to make sure it was sterile before it actually went out to the clients for use.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did. And I was really, really good at it. But I realized during that time that I really was not cut out for corporate, because I saw how they loved you in one space and
Mm-hmm.
didn't want you to elevate to another. Like I had done the sterility testing for like 6 years straight. And so I started having issues with my wrists and wanted to promote and move up. But they were so comfortable with me being where I was because I was really good at what I was doing that I had a lot of pushback. So that's kind of like leading up to where all of this journey began. But yeah, I was there for like 10, 11 years.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So, navigators, I love to talk to people who've made career changes, because a lot of times we get in careers and we think we have to stay there 20, 25, 30 years, kind of like our parents did. They got in jobs and they stayed there until they retired from that same job, right? But in this day and time, I am meeting a lot of amazing, amazing individuals who are doing things differently. They are stepping out, they are deciding to change their career. So, Angela, what prompted you to become a life coach or transformation coach? Correct my terminology.
Oh no,
Um,
it's all the same really. Transformation is just my niche. It's
okay.
like it's where I but what prompted me was that everywhere I go and every job that I've had, it was like God was always using me to minister to people. People would always come to me with their advice and I would always have an answer. And I happened to be praying about it, like, Lord, what is it that you want me to do? Because I'm not really happy in this corporate space. I went off and did the makeup thing and the, skincare thing. And I started praying and seeking God. And so one night I was just up and I was on the internet and ran across a coach by the name of Danielle Winningham. And I think she's based out of Houston. But one thing she said, she was like, if you're always being stopped and people are strangers are telling you their story and, asking you for advice. And she was like, you're a life coach. And I was like, oh, wow, it had a name.
Hmm.
At the time, I didn't even know that it had a name.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, so I started doing some research and had applied to Liberty University because I was thinking that I was going to go back to school and maybe go into the dermatology field or whatnot, and just kind of entertain the life coaching thing on the side.
Hmm.
But Liberty didn't accept me, and that was okay. They
Okay.
turned me down for a 20 something year old GPA. But then
Wow.
I ended up getting into Grand Canyon University, and they were like, we realized that you're not the same person you were so many years ago. So they gave me an opportunity. But they had a program in psychology with an emphasis in life coaching. So I was like, wow. And I got in effortlessly. And so that's how the journey began.
Okay. Gotcha. So that's how the journey began. What actually, well, never mind. You said that the people asked you questions, and so you found yourself giving
Right.
advice to different people. You found
Mm-hmm.
yourself giving advice. I was told that if you have three people ask you the same question, that
Mm-hmm.
is kind of a guide of what you should be doing. If you have
Yes.
three different people, and I'll say Coach David Burris told me that. He said if you have three different people asking you the same question, that's
Mm-hmm.
something that you should be doing. So, can you tell us how do you use your life coaching certification, and what services do you offer?
Well, right now, I'm actually taking strategy sessions because I'm going to be doing a beta test on my 3 month program
Mhm.
so that I can, validate the techniques that I want to use with the cognitive behavioral therapy.
Okay.
But right now, I have the 6 month, I mean, 6 week, not 6 month, but the 6 week transformation course is coming out, which I'm really excited about. And I'm so shooting for December.
Okay.
But in that 6 week transformation course, Master Your Mountains, we basically uncover your hidden potential and your hidden purpose through trauma. Because what I learned was that the enemy will use trauma to keep you hidden.
Mhm.
Because if you notice, a lot of the times, like let's say one of my students, she was very low self esteem as a result of something that happened to her in her childhood. Well, her giftings was tied to sewing. Like she could sew a pattern without even having, like she could like create something off the top of her head and sew it. Like she didn't even have to have an actual pattern. And so she was really gifted in this area, but because it came naturally to her, it wasn't something she really put a lot of emphasis on. But think about it, isn't what you wear directly kind of tied to your self-esteem? Like
Mhm.
when you dress good, you feel good.
Mhm.
And so in the Master Your Mountains program, I help them to make the connection as to, because a lot of people say, well, why did this trauma happen to me? My brother didn't go through this or my sister didn't go through this. And it's like, because the mantle on your life or your calling is greater than that, of your family member. Maybe you're the savior of the family, which is why you're getting the brunt of all of the attacks. So in the Master Your Mountains, we actually look at what the Lord gave me is called the trauma tree. So
Hmm.
the trauma tree, it actually helps you to look at the generational curse that's going through your family. And if your parents didn't get something on their hard drive, it's going to be hard for them to give it to you, right? So if love wasn't placed on their hard drive, it's hard for that parent to show you love. It doesn't mean that they don't love you. It was just never put on their hard drive. So they can't give you what they didn't get. And so in this program, we go through all of that. And then we go through a process of removing the labels and rewriting our own scripts. So I'm really excited about it. The beta test group went extremely well. The ladies didn't want it to end, and I hated to see it end. But now I'm ready to get it out to the world. But it's just so many little moving parts behind the scenes that you have to go through to get it all ready. So that's where I'm at right now. But we're close. So
I love it. Master Your Mountain and the Trauma
yes.
Tree. Um, when you say, now that you explained it and said
Hmm.
master your mountain, that I really can see that mountain being whatever that trauma, is in your life. And that trauma tree, something, theology, or thought process, or
Hmm.
whatever you want to call it. That's interesting because so many times I think we find ourselves requiring something from people that they aren't able to give us.
Yes,
And
yes,
we don't take the time to really understand that it's just not in them. It's not that they don't want to, they just may not know how to.
exactly,
So
exactly.
that's really good. I'm excited. I'm excited for you with that. So we got the Transformational Move Your Mountain 6-week course that you'll be launching soon, hopefully December, correct?
Yeah, I'm shooting for December. Yes,
Okay. So let's talk about this book. But hey guys, this is Angela Williams. She is a transformation coach. She's a life coach specializing in transformation, correct? All
yes,
right. So we're going to move a little bit further. So Angela, you said you have your third book out?
yes. My third book,
Okay.
entitled Hush, which
Hush.
is yes, and Hush stands for Help Your Soul Heal.
Mhm.
And then the first two books were the Boss Up books. I call them the Boss Up Power Twins because it was the Boss Up prayer activations to help you get out of a negative self sabotaging thought pattern through using prayer activations.
Mhm.
And then the Boss Up Mindset Journal is giving you prompts. It was my first time writing a journal. And so I really didn't know what to expect. I have all of these ideas in my head, and I'm like, okay, I got to get it out because I realized that a lot of the depression, a lot of the anxiety comes from emotions.
Mhm.
It starts there. It's like someone, based upon those expectations that we talked about, we have high expectations of a person. When they don't meet those expectations, then it puts us into a cycle of where we create these narratives in our minds about why this person is responding to us this way. For some reason, we tend to internalize it and make it about us and
Mhm.
not about what is actually going on. Like the perspective is just skewed a little bit. So, with the Boss Up Mindset Journal, I was basically giving them prompts to help them to write from a positive perspective versus writing from a negative perspective.
It's interesting.
Because
Hold up. Hold up. It's
Mhm,
interesting that you say that because if you ask a person to identify at least, let's say, 5 things that they
mhm,
love about themselves, that's hard for people to do because we
yeah,
are wired to write about the things we don't like about ourselves.
yes,
So I
yes.
know that's a major shift that you are doing because, like I said, it's easy to acknowledge, okay, these are my weaknesses, this is what I don't like, this is what I want to change. But how many times do we find ourselves speaking those affirmations, those good things about ourselves, and building ourselves up on that? But I just wanted to interject that, but go ahead.
But and to your point, the Lord has really been dealing with me on how the heart, the Bible says that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So we are speaking the what we have been putting in. And so what we've been putting in is more of the problem and less of the promise.
Mm.
Because the more and more we put the promise in, because his word tells us everything we need to do. Because if you think about it, let's go back to Joshua 1 and 8, where it talks about if you meditate on this word day and night, okay, you're going to make your way prosperous, right?
Hmm.
So if we're putting in the word, we're going to be observed. We're going to observe to do it. So when things come up, we're not going to call our girlfriends and be like, girl, he broke up with me. What did the word say? The word says that I can have a man that loves me as Christ loves the church. So if I put more of that in,
Hmm.
that's what's going to come out. But back to, because I
Boss
get
up.
excited, right? I get excited, right?
I understand.
So, but back to boss up. So the point was to have them to focus more on the good, even though it was some bad going on. Because I mean, life happens, right? So to focus on the good and write from that perspective, because the Bible tells us that if we write the vision and make it plain, that the person who comes along can run with the vision. You know what I'm saying? But if our vision is so bad and skewed, then that's what we're going to continue to see. So with the Hush journal, I thought I need to go a little bit deeper
Okay.
because right now I just got them writing from a positive perspective. But then I realized emotions is what put us in depression. Emotions is what put us in anxiety and all these other negative um, symptoms that come along with it. So with the Hush journal, I have them to actually look at their emotion. Because sometimes if you ask a person, hey, how are you feeling? Sometimes they'll say, oh, I don't know. I really I just feel blah. But we need to identify what that blah is. So in this book, I give them some negative emotions that they can like say, oh, I'm feeling this way. And then they can write it down and then they can talk about what brought them to that space. And then there's a piece where they can acknowledge and forgive it. And then they have a prayer point or a prayer activation that they'll pray against it. And then they'll go into how do you desire to feel? So I give them a whole list of positive words that they can say, oh, I want to feel like this. Because we really do have the power to not take on anybody else's emotions, but create the emotions that we want to see. So they'll go through the list and pick out if they're having troubles trying to, come up with the words how they're actually feeling or desire to feel. And then they'll write that down and then they'll talk about why they want to feel this way because it's giving them time to marinate on that new thought. And then once they do that, they'll go through and they'll do their intention for the day. My intention is to not let XYZ bother me. And then they have some journal prompts to kind of write, throughout the day if they want to do that. But yeah, so it touches on the different little areas of like eating disorders, ADHD, because people tend to say, well, something is wrong with me because I have these symptoms. But it's like everybody's dealing with something. Ours is just labeled something different.
Hmm.
We may not have ADHD, but we may be suffering from depression. Or we may not have depression, but we're suffering from anxiety. There's none that's like bigger or smaller than the next. We're all going through something. So this was the whole thought process behind Hush.
I love it. And what I got just from your explanation, I just started smiling, right? So basically, if I acknowledge, let's say I'm feeling sad today because I can't find a job, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so how I want to feel is excited about even being in this space or excited about an opportunity. But what I
Mm-hmm.
got from what you saying, so my intent for the day is I'm going to search for a job, put in my applications, but also be grateful for this space that I'm in, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but what I got from that is that it's the whole bind and loose method. So if
Yes.
I say something, I'm releasing that into the atmosphere, that feeling that I do not want, but I want to replace it with an emotion, a feeling, a thought, with something that I do want. Because a lot of times, we don't realize when we say what we don't want, there's a void there, right? And so the void has to be filled with something.
Mm-hmm.
It has
Exactly.
to be filled with something. So I like that concept of talking about how you want to feel and your intentions for the day. Girl, you
Yes.
got me on my podcast preaching, and
Yeah.
I don't usually, do that. All right. So you said what your inspiration was because you wanted to go deeper into it. And again, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to Angela Williams, and I want to know, how has your life experiences shaped you into who you are now?
Well, oh, that's a great question. And I'm going to try to summarize it as best as I can because I was a suicidal teen and because I was verbally abused growing up. And it was by someone who was very, very important to me. And I really just want to kind of keep it there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I would go to school and I would laugh and I would make jokes and I was the class clown. But at night, I was warring with the spirit of death, because I wanted so badly to just end it all.
And how
Um,
old were
so
you?
I was about 15, 16,
Okay.
around in that area. I was in my teens and was just didn't want to be here. So out of my ignorance, I prayed. I remember sitting on the edge of the bed and I prayed. I said, Lord, can you help me in my life? Because I didn't want to do it and then go to hell. I wanted to solicit him for help because I was ignorant. And I remember it felt like someone whispered into my ear, the left side, and said, you're going to break generational curses. And at the time, I said, okay. But I didn't know what to make of all of that because I was saved, but I was a teen. I wasn't really living for the Lord, like talking about it. And that's where the journey began. God said, you are asking me to help you to die, but I'm going to help you live. This person that you are right now is going to die, but the person that I'm resurrecting you to be is going to live. And so that's where this journey began. It's like God saved me. And so because he saved me, I know how sneaky the spirit of depression is because a lot of times people are walking around ticking time bombs. Like my classmates had no clue that I was going through this. But every phone call I got to hang out was my saving grace, because I'm on the bed thinking, okay, should I take the pills or should I get the knife? And which knife am I going to use? The sharpest one, because I want to get it quick and. And so the phone would ring and it would be one of my friends saying, hey, you want to hang out? And I'm like, yes, because I need to get away from these thoughts. But at the time, I didn't know how to go through and, work my way through those negative thought processes and where they even like stem from. It's only now that I'm able to make those connections. So as a result, I wanted to expose trauma. I wanted to make it, let people know that yes, trauma is real. And the person that hurt you may not be the person that is going to accept their responsibility or their role in the hurt. So you got to be responsible for your own healing, which is why this book is entitled Hush, Helping or Help Your Soul Heal, because you're going to have to do the work. I had to do the work to get out of that negative space. So I want to show other people how to do the work when you can't talk to the person who traumatized you. You can have these moments because that book is not going to judge you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You can have that book to write out all of your thought processes and then get the help that you need. Because in the back of the book, I put numbers where people can get the help that they need, how to find a therapist, call the suicidal hotline. By all means, speak to someone, even if it's not the person who hurt you. So,
Wow, you just said so much, and I just had a whole lot of different things going on in my head. So let me see if I can unpack it, and I'm going to
okay.
come back to another question. But it is so important. A lot of times, I believe we stay in mental and emotional prisons,
Mhm.
expecting the person who hurt us to heal us.
Yes. Yes.
um we stay in a place and we want them to say I'm sorry, or we want them to say I was wrong, when what do you do if they don't do that? Like, how long do you live your life behind this? They need to apologize, they
Right.
need to say they were wrong. And
Hmm.
so thank you so much for thinking that way. Thank you for obeying God, because I'm sure it was a God idea,
Hmm.
for obeying God to release this. And I have another question. So you're going to break generational curses, right?
Mhm.
And what would you tell parents who have teenagers who may be dealing with depression or anxiety? Because everything looks different now, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
school is different now.
Hmm.
Interaction with friends are different now. So
Hmm.
our teenagers are experiencing some things that they may not even know how to communicate. What is your advice to parents who may think their child is going through something?
My advice to the parents would be to really go and have communication with your child. Like start, even if they don't have that communication there already, it is important to either start today with having communication. Just, hey, how was your day? um I was just talking to one of my coworkers. He's African, and he has three daughters, and I said, make sure you affirm them, tell them how beautiful they are, start now. And he said, that's something we don't do in my culture. I said, we don't do it in ours. So a parent who can sense that, because some parents can sense that something is going on with their children, just go to them and say, is there something you want to talk about? But here's the thing, Paula, what I notice is if I'm in the grocery store, I hear a lot of parents telling their kids to shut up.
Mm,
And I cringe every single time because the words shut up takes away their voice. So if they really need to talk to you about something, they're not going to, because you have shut off with
mm,
the shut up. Like my son, when he was little, he would interrupt my thought processes, and I would look at him and I would say, sweetie, I was like, can you give mom maybe 5-10 minutes, because I really want to hear what you have to say. And right now my thought processes are on what I'm doing, but give me 5 to 10 minutes so I can listen to you with my undivided attention.
mhm.
Doesn't that sound better than shut up?
That sounds so nice.
Yeah. And because of that, till this day, we have such a great communication, because these kids are faced with things. But I would tell the parent to go to the child and ask them, is there something that they would like to talk to them about? And also, if you've not been the parent who has created a communication space,
Hmm.
then maybe acknowledge that, hey, I know that I say that you can talk to me about anything, but I've not been that person for you. I want to change that today. Are you willing to, implement this into our relationship? Like, is this something you'd be interested in? And then have the parent maybe confide in the child about something, not that's gonna, put them in an awkward space, but maybe share something like a struggle. Like, when I was growing up your age, I remember I struggled with XYZ. Make it about the parent first so that the child can say, oh wow, my mom really is cool, or is listening, or my dad will open up and I can share this with them. You know what I'm saying? So creating that space for that child to be able to open up to you about anything. Or if the parent has hurt the child, go to them and say, I think I may need to apologize to you for speaking to you this way, because the person that abused me and my sister said that it was done to them, but that was their justification for it. It's like, well, it was done to me and I'm okay. Well, no, you're really not, because you've now trickled it down to us, and we're different generations, so we don't respond the same way you did in your generation. So that would be my advice.
I love it. Increasing that communication,
Hmm.
creating a safe space, a safe space for that child to talk, and
Yeah.
just being honest with the child. I love
Mhm.
it. Thank you. We're getting ready to wrap this up. Navigators, we thank you, Angela Williams, again for taking out time of your busy schedule to talk to us. And I would like to ask you one more question. What
Yes.
is the message, the core of your being that you want to leave with people?
Oh, let's see. That you can heal, because I'm living proof of that. Like, you can come out of a really dark space and be in a really great, I mean, right now I'm just so grateful for all the things God is doing in my life. Never in a million years thought that I would be in this position, because I was the one who was never called on for anything. I was, not I was only popular because I was with popular people. You know what I'm saying? So being in a space to where I'm thriving in the things that God has called me to do, So there is hope, so I want to let them know that that's the core message of my being, is that no matter how bad it was, you can heal from it, but you have to be open and willing to do the work.
I love it. No matter how bad it was, you can heal from it and you have to be
Hmm.
open and willing to do the work. I love it. Thank you so much, Angela, for sharing your time, for sharing your testimony, for sharing your journey with the navigators. And hopefully, somebody is encouraged after listening to this. And before we go, can you let the listeners, let the navigators know how they can connect with you on social media or how they can reach out to you?
Okay, yes, I am at Angela Motivates on Instagram. And I also have a YouTube channel, Angela Motivates. And they can also email me if they have any questions or want to connect, at Angela Williams Global at yahoo.com. No, gmail.com. I'm sorry. It's Angela Williams Global at gmail.com.
All right. Thank you so much for that.
You're
Well,
welcome.
navigators, we thank you for listening to this episode. And until next time, keep going, navigators. Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you.